This is the story of how one man built a criminal empire so powerful that it shook an entire country. In 1976, something dangerous was beginning in Medellín. Colombia, a group of criminals started building what would become one of the most feared organizations in history, the Medellín Cartel. Hidden away from the public, their operation grew through money, power, and violence. The cartel created a massive network that would eventually control much of the world's cocaine trade. At the center of this empire was Pablo Escobar. Alongside other powerful leaders, Escobar helped transform a small criminal operation into a global organization. To many people, he appeared charming and generous, but behind that image was a man who used fear and violence to control anyone who opposed him. His most feared weapon was a group of assassins known as sicarios. They targeted police officers, judges, and government officials. Escobar's message was simple: accept his money or face the consequences. The phrase became famous across Colombia: plata o plomo, silver or lead, a bribe or a bullet. By the late 1980s, Medellín was trapped in a wave of fear, but one politician refused to surrender. Luis Carlos Galán openly challenged the cartel and promised to fight corruption. On August 18, 1989, he stepped onto a campaign stage surrounded by supporters. Hidden in the crowd were Escobar's assassins. Moments later, gunfire erupted. Galán was rushed away, but he did not survive. The cartel's war against the government became even more extreme. Soon after, they planned an attack that shocked the entire world. A bomb was placed on a passenger airplane. The explosion killed more than 100 people and showed Colombia that Escobar's violence had reached a terrifying level. Public anger grew stronger. The government launched a massive campaign to destroy the Medellín Cartel police, and military forces began hunting down Escobar's closest allies. Cartel leader José Rodríguez Gacha was killed during a major operation. Gustavo Gaviria was also eliminated, one by one. Escobar's empire began to collapse, but the fall of his empire would not happen overnight. For years, Escobar had built a network powerful enough to challenge the Colombian government itself. He had money, loyal followers, and fear on his side. But every enemy he created was slowly closing in. The same violence that built his empire was now becoming the reason it would fall. With his organization weakening, Escobar made a surprising move. He offered to surrender, but there was a condition. He wanted protection from extradition to the United States. The government accepted the deal, and Escobar entered his own custom-built prison. But this was no normal prison. La Catedral was more like a luxury resort. Escobar had comfortable rooms, entertainment, and control over his surroundings. From inside the prison, he continued influencing his criminal empire. Eventually, the government realized they had been deceived. When officials attempted to move him to a real prison, Escobar escaped. Now a fugitive, he had lost most of his power. His empire was falling apart. Escobar spent his final months hiding in safe houses, while police and intelligence agencies searched for him. Investigators eventually tracked his phone calls and discovered his location. December 2nd, 1993. Colombian police surrounded his hiding place in Medellín. Escobar tried to escape across the rooftops. A final gunfight ended the life of one of the most infamous criminals in history. The death of Pablo Escobar marked the end of the Medellín Cartel. An empire built on money and fear had finally collapsed. But the story of Escobar remains a warning of how power, greed, and violence can destroy an entire nation. The world watched as the once untouchable king of cocaine became a man hiding from the very country he controlled. His fortune was gone, his allies were gone, and his empire had disappeared. Only a lonely fugitive remained.